To go. I'll stay here a little bit more. Pardon me. I hate to see Chris run off because Chris, your signal is picked up.
Okay, so this is a Kenwood TS530S, and check out the front panel on this thing. Very hard to find 530Ss that have got clean front panels, and this is so clean. And this one's a goodie. Bit of a labour of love. Some of you know that we've got 4 530s still sitting around here. Not by design, by pure accident. And this is one we got stuck into and decided to put a new set of valves, a new driver, new power supply capacitors, just to show you what happens with these things. Is that they get a bit old, and I've actually got Brendan sending me up, VK3MH sending me up a few more of these at the moment. Yeah, they get a little bit old, and the way to check, by the way, and look, the next set that come up that we do, I'll actually do a video that we can show you why and what happens with the double effect. But what happens on HV is that your 800 volts that we're looking at this there, sorry, about 850 volts, you'll notice all of a sudden that once you put some drive in and you try to actually make those valves work, it'll drop back. And these two here were dropping back to about 450 volts. So, you know, the effect of the doubler just is not, voltage doubler is not working when these caps give in. And obviously you replace the resistors and caps on the legs as well there. And you do short them out before you go putting your fingers across them like I'm doing. Otherwise they could be very unfriendly. Okay, so this one, look, I think I know where this one might be heading. And you're probably watching this video, my good friend up in Queensland. So we'll have a talk about that. But if not, you know, look, it will be up for sale because I've got a mint in the box one myself. I'm only going to keep one, and we're just going to slowly just feed the other ones out to people that probably would like to have a nice 530. Now this would be the nicest one we've got. A lot of guys from the US coming in at the moment. This is probably, yeah, once again, probably the cleanest we've got compared to the one that's in the box. And don't get me wrong, this one is going to come with a box because we have over here the original foam and original box, etc. for the 530. So that's the good news for whoever, you know, we end up. Well, as I said, could be a mate of mine up in Queensland. I've just got a feeling. But if not, as I said, we'll work through that. So let's just have a look. I might actually go back to dummy load just for a minute, just because we're going to do a couple of power tests. I just want to show you how extreme a new set of valves, they really are good. Hang on 2 ticks. Okay, so we've got this hooked up. I'm just using an old Welts. Look, the SP300 was a good meter, to be honest, so really quite good in respect to the fact that they're reasonably accurate and they did a good job. So what we've basically got is this meter, and then we're coming over to the service monitor, and on the service monitor we can see 1 2, hello 1 2, and you won't pick up quite so easily on that. It's not such a fast acting meter. Hello. So we're getting our 100 watts pretty easily, but just to sort of show that in CW, which would probably be a better way to do it, probably about 110 watts there, but that might be a little bit generous. I'd say we've got this set around 99 point something watts on the monitor. The monitor normally reads a bit low. In my experience, this is read probably about 5 watts too high, so 105 watts I'd say at a bit of a guess. But really nice with a nice new set of finals and driver. They just and the power supply caps keeping that voltage up to them is really what you're after. From a receiver point of view, let's have a bit of a look. Okay, so we're putting in minus 113 dBm, so in the old scale 0.5 microvolt, which Generally, we like to hear noise free, which is good. We can get it to do a little better than that, but let's just have a look at how we go when we put a bit more into it. And up that S meter comes. And 50 microvolts is giving us S9, so I like that. It's looking very good. So basically, technically now we've got it going back to what it should be doing. I haven't gone too silly. I mean, we can push things and drive things a bit harder if we wanted to, but ideally, you know, these valves will last a very, very long time, as will the caps, etc. Just running it at, you know, around 100 watts, and they're just meant to do that all day long, so that's the good news. All right, let's put it back on an antenna and let's just have a bit of a float around. And after the receiver test that we've just done, quite seriously, this will hear extremely well. We sort of already know the answers to some things. We'll put the noise blanker on about half level there. I'm running the AGC in slow. We'll go back to RF meter on this one, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's turn that RF meter back a bit. On the back, guys, they have a control, which is this one right here, and that there actually sets your RF meter. So since we've put the new valves, because this was struggling for power before, someone's turned that right up. And let me just get that calibrated correct. So at full power out, we basically want to see with the CW right over to just the scale just there. So we're getting a bit over 100 watts there, and we are right at the edge. This will calm the meter down, of course, on SSB 1, 2, 3, hello 1, 2. So the idea being that it's going to just keep fluctuating nicely. Now ALC meter 1, 2, hello 1, 2. Probably turn that mic gain down a bit. You can see from the ALC drive there 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Probably still just a tad high, but it's driving reasonably hard actually. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So you've got your ALC there, especially when you start running amps, etc. Nice to be able to check. And as you see, we've got a stable. Let's put it on CW again. So we're both looking at our 850 volt line over here and our power. And we're making sure that it stays at 850 volts while it still stays at in excess of 100 watts on sideband. Sorry, CW. Just let me go to sideband for a minute. VK3 Charlie Mike just testing on 7172. And courtesy when on antennas is a good thing. Sorry, I should have done that prior to making the carrier, not after. The thing about the 530s, very much like the 830, superb receivers. Now I can't hear Steve VK5SF this time of night, unfortunately. And the other thing to mention here, this is that random length of wire we used earlier on the FT1000 Mark V. So if we go into the other room and we compared that onto the beam, we'd pick up, these guys would be 5.9 plus 10, you know, sort of, this is quite an average bit of wire. But there's quite a few stations. But anyway, it's all good. No worries. Send me a bit of a look through here. Bit of FT8 if you S9 FT8. That's drive you mental listening to that for too long. The other thing about the 530s over some of the earlier models, a lot more stable. You're dealing with a radio that is you know, a lot easier to just sit there, put it on a spot, and it will stay there. Let me just turn that down a bit for a minute. So, of course, this is a radio that also had WARC bands, so you do have 10, 18, and 24 and a half megs included on there as well. On 28 megs, they had a system where they basically went like so, and then 500 kcs up, so that got you up, and then 29, 500 kcs up, etc. And this has no modifications in any way. The popular mod was always, of course, that 29 megs cut a wire or two, and it became 27. And I really try to find radios that haven't had that done. It's just so much nicer, because it normally means someone's drilled a hole somewhere, put a switch in, etc. And I just like these things standard if I can get them that way. But this is probably one of the more standard. This has only ever been used by a ham. That was pretty obvious when I got it. It's going to come with actually with an MC35 mic as well too, 35S, and They're really a very distinctive mic. I've always loved them. They're famous for that Kenwood click, and you know, when they came out in the 80s, we always used to hear that click, and even on CB radio, you know, it was the dead giveaway that somebody was running a 120S or a 120V or 130 or 530, and the truth is they could have been using an MC35S on something else, I'm sure. I've never tried to see if it'd still give the same click, but there's a very distinctive click that they give, and they're really quite something. All right, so look, yeah, beautiful radio, really is. We'll do what we normally do on Facebook if this is not heading up to where I think it's going, but certainly a very, very clean TS530. And yeah, well, the next one we do, I've got some parts coming up from Brendan this week. We'll actually do a run through and a guide on how not to kill yourself, number one, because when you're dealing with these things, this 500 volts, you know, working voltage, yeah, they're pretty serious about that. That's so it is very much a good idea to probably have a listen and have a look at just how we do things. We'll show you how we mark different spots so that we don't get it wrong, and also just how we make sure that it's all clamped down correctly and that there's no stray voltages going anywhere. So there's a little bit to learn there in regards to the output stage and what happens and how they take 450 volts and, you know, take it up to, I think it's 425 up to about 850, somewhere around there. And you know, and probably the other thing too that will teach you is that, you know, always go and check your voltages, current draws, lots of things before you go pull those valves out thinking, oh, I'm just going to put in a couple of 6146s in a 12 BY7 and that's going to fix all my problems. Often that does not fix all the problems, and that's the thing, is that just want to go through maybe a checklist of things to go through before you know, go and buy a set of valves that you possibly don't need. We're seeing this more and more in some of the older chassis now, where more often than not the valves are fine, you know, caps are starting to give trouble, so certainly something to bear in mind. All right, well, look, I tell you what, if anyone's on DXing tonight, have a listen to this. This is off a piece of well, it's a piece of wire which is probably resonant. It's not quite on 40 meters, to be honest. It needs a bit of tuning to do that, but it's really been doing a good job tonight. Well, this afternoon I've had a few radios on it. It's only a temporary too, so it's certainly amazing. All right, 73s, all the best, and hopefully this has been a good look at a very, very clean TS530S. All the best. Cheers.